Sister laughed. Maybe dying will make you interesting. So I canceled the credit cards, shut off their power, and let foreclosure do the rest. While I was fighting for my life in the intensive care unit, my family went on vacation in Hawaii and posted beach photos. Mom texted, "Stop being dramatic. We'll visit when you pay our way." My sister chuckled. "Maybe dying will finally make you interested." I took screenshots. A week later, they received canceled cards, shut-off utilities, and foreclosure notices. That's when the calls began, non-stop begging. The steady beeping of the heart monitor was the only thing I heard in the sterile ICU room. Pneumonia had progressed into sepsis faster than anyone had anticipated, and here I was, 26 years old, fighting for my life while hooked up to more equipment than I could count. The doctors had been brutally honest. The first 72 hours were fraught with uncertainty. I called my family as soon as I was admitted. Mom, Dad, and my sister, Isabella, lived only 2 hours away. I assumed they would drop everything and rush over. Instead, I received a text from Mom. "Sorry, honey, we're at an airport. The Hawaii trip is already paid for. We'll see you when we're back. Hawaii excursion." This was the first I'd heard about it. As the days passed in that ICU bed, my phone served as a window into their vacation paradise. Isabella's Instagram story featured stunning beaches, Mai Tais, and sunset meals. Mom uploaded Facebook images of herself in a new swimsuit with the message, "Living my best life at 52. Dad posted golf course selfies with the hashtags, vacation vibes, and paradise found. There was no mention of their daughter's life-threatening situation at home. On day 3, when my fever finally dropped and I could think straight again, I texted a group. "Hey guys, I'm stable now, but still pretty sick. The doctors think I'll be here for at least another week. Could someone please come over? I'm quite terrified and alone." Mom responded an hour later. "Stop being so dramatic, Clara. You're okay if you're texting. We'll come when you pay for our tickets home and reimburse us for the vacation time we'd have to sacrifice." I stared at that letter for 10 minutes, rereading it to ensure I wasn't hallucinating due to the drugs. Isabella's response was much worse. "LOL. Mom is right. You've always been an attention seeker. Perhaps dying will make you fascinating for once." Smiley face emoji. I took a screenshot of both texts instantly. That's when something inside me changed. Not broken, shifted like a puzzle piece suddenly clicked into place, revealing a picture I'd previously been unable to view. My family had always treated me like a personal ATM. I was the responsible one, the one who went to college on scholarships, did 2 jobs, got into technology early, and now, at 26, was earning a 6-figure income as a senior software engineer. Meanwhile, Isabella dropped out of community college to become a social media influencer with 847 followers. My parents had retired early at 52 and 54, respectively, relying on their funds and, increasingly, my generosity. I had been paying their mortgage for the past 2 years. When Dad's 401k suffered a setback, I paid Isabella's car payments and insurance. I gave Mom $15,000 for an emergency breast augmentation. I paid for family trips, holiday gifts, and even their grocery bills when they claimed to be financially strapped. And here they were, on a Hawaiian vacation that I had paid for without realizing it, urging me to quit being theatrical while I nearly died alone. The next 3 days in the hospital allowed me plenty of time to ponder and plan. I could access anything from my laptop, including banking, investment accounts, and all the financial strands I'd weaved to sustain my ungrateful family. First, I logged into my bank account and canceled any automatic transfers to my parents' accounts. The mortgage payment due for the 15th was canceled. Dad's automobile payment was terminated. The credit card I had given them for emergencies, which they used for everything from gas to groceries, was canceled and reported stolen. Then I called my investment advisor, Luna, who had been looking after my portfolio for 5 years. "Clara, how are you feeling? I heard you were in the hospital." "Much better. Thanks for asking." "Luna, I need to make some changes to my accounts. I want to remove my parents and sister as beneficiaries and emergency contacts on all my accounts." "Of course, honey. Are you sure you want to do this while you're still recovering? I've never been more sure of anything." Next, I contacted my lawyer, Tom, who had assisted me in preparing my will and power of attorney forms. "Tom, I need to revoke the power of attorney I gave my parents and change my will entirely." "That's a significant change, Clara. Can I ask why?" I told him everything. He remained silent for an extended period of time toward the conclusion. "I'll draft the new documents immediately. And Clara, I'm sorry your family failed you when you needed them most. But I wasn't finished. My family had no idea that I had not only been generous with my money, but also stupid with it. I'd co-signed loans, put my name on credit cards, and even helped them acquire a house by acting as a co-borrower when their credit wasn't good enough, giving me the authority to cancel everything. I spent the following 2 days painstakingly removing the financial safety net I had created for them. The utilities I put in my name to boost their credit were discontinued. The family phone plan they were all on, under my account, was canceled. The car insurance coverage I paid for, which covered all of their vehicles, was terminated effective immediately. The mansion was the standout feature. Because I was on the mortgage, I had the right to demand quick repayment of the debt. I contacted the bank and said that I wanted to remove myself from the mortgage, and that if my parents were unable to qualify for a new loan or pay off the remainder, they would have to sell. The bank was incredibly accommodating, especially when I mentioned that I was recovering from a life-threatening illness and needed to protect my financial future. Meanwhile, the posts from Hawaii kept coming. Isabella shared a video of herself enjoying a couple's massage with a man she supposedly met at the resort. Mom posted images of extravagant dinners and shopping sprees. Dad sent golf images with captions about retired life, as I slowly recovered alone in a hospital bed. On day 7, I was finally released. I had lost 15 pounds and felt as weak as a kitten, yet I was still alive. I drove back to my peaceful apartment, ordered soup from my favorite restaurant, and waited. The first call arrived at 6:47 p.m. Clara. Mom's voice was panicked. There's something wrong with our credit card. It was declined at dinner. That's strange, I replied quietly. Maybe call the bank. We tried. They said the account was closed. Did you close our credit card? I reported it stolen when I was in the ICU, and you were posting vacation photos. Seemed like someone else was using it. The line became quiet. Then, Clara Elise Carter, you reopen that card right now. We're stuck in Hawaii without money. I thought you paid for this vacation yourselves. That's what you told me. Click. I hung up. Isabella called 10 minutes later, screaming, You psycho! You left us stranded. The hotel wants us to pay for another night, and we can't. Maybe ask your new boyfriend to help, I said. The one from the couple's massage video. You've been stalking our social media. You're sick. I've been watching my family live it up while I nearly died. There's a difference. She hung up on me too. Dad called next, attempting to be the rational one. Clara, sweetie, there's been a misunderstanding. We can explain everything when we get home. Can you please reinstate our card so we can book flights back? No misunderstanding, Dad. You chose a vacation over your daughter. Live with that choice. The calls continued throughout the night, each one more urgent than the previous. I turned off the phone and slept better than I have in years. They made it home somehow. I subsequently found out Isabella had to borrow money from her Instagram boyfriend, and my parents maxed out an old credit card they had stored away. The real fun began when they arrived home. Mom called at 7 a.m. the day after they returned. Clara, the power's been shut off, and the gas. What did you do? I canceled the utilities that were in my name. You're adults. You can set up your own accounts. With what money? You canceled. Everything. Figure it out. The foreclosure notice came 3 days later. The bank had operated efficiently. That was when the begging really began. Isabella arrived at my flat first, crying and apologizing. Clara, I'm so sorry. I was drunk when I wrote that text. I didn't mean it. Which text? The one where you said maybe dying would make me interested? That text. I was just joking. You know how I joke. Get off my property. Mom followed with a full-fledged act, complete with tears, guilt trips, and assertions that she'd been out of her mind with concern and had only said those things to avoid having to face how afraid she was. Then why did you post 47 photos and videos of your vacation while I was in the ICU? I requested an explanation. We were trying to stay positive. Get out. Dad attempted a sensible approach. He presented them with a package of documents outlining their financial predicament, stressing how losing the house would wreck their credit and leave them with nowhere to go. You should have thought of that before you told me to pay for your flights while I was fighting for my life, I told you. But we're a family. No, we're not. Family shows up. Family cares. Family doesn't mock their daughter for nearly dying. The calls grew frequent, 20 to 30 times a day. I blocked their numbers, so they began phoning from other phones, friends' phones, pay phones, and the landline at the hotel where they had to relocate after losing their home. Each call brought a new strategy: fury, bargaining, more false tears, suicide threats, and accusations that I was destroying the family. "You already destroyed it," I informed Mom during an especially depressing phone chat. "I just stopped pretending otherwise." The most pathetic attempt came from Isabella's friend Rachel, who called purporting to be conducting a poll on family ties. She made a mistake after 20 minutes of asking rehearsed questions. "So, hypothetically, if your sister was really truly sorry and maybe wrote you a letter explaining everything, would you consider—" "Tell Isabella I said no, Rachel. And telling her using you as a middleman is exactly the kind of manipulative behavior that got her into this mess." Then there was an attempted ambush at my workplace. Mom and Dad arrived at my office building, talked their way past security, and cornered me in the lobby as I was leaving for lunch. "Clara, please, just 5 minutes," Dad begged, looking exhausted and frantic. Mom stood behind him, holding a tissue and trying to appear sympathetic. "Security," I said to the guy who had let them in. "These people are harassing me. Please escort them out." "Clara!" Mom screamed as security approached. "I'm your mother. You can't just ignore your family." "Watch me," I said, striding past them without another look. The security film from that incident somehow made its way to my co-workers, who were both shocked by my family's actions and pleased by my poise. The day Clara family attempted an intervention in the company foyer and was taken out by security became something of an office legend. My favorite desperate attempt came when they tried to exploit my hospitalization against me. Isabella shared a lengthy Instagram story about how I was mentally unstable following my sickness and that my erratic conduct was a cry for help. She stated that I was experiencing a breakdown and required family intervention. The post backfired catastrophically when several of my friends replied about their own hospital visits, noting how afraid and alone I was, how they gave me food, books, and comfort while my family posted vacation photographs. Bella's admirers began to draw the dots, and the comments section devolved into a scathing critique of her character. She removed the post within hours, but not before I screenshotted the entire thing. They were also facing increasing financial pressures. Sebastian told me that Dad had tried to acquire a loan using my previous contact information as a reference. When the bank contacted me to check his work and income, I was brutally honest about his circumstances. "Mr. Carter is unemployed and has recently lost his home to foreclosure," I informed the loan officer. "He has no stable income that I'm aware of, and I would not recommend extending him credit." "Thank you for your honesty, Miss Carter. May I ask your relationship to the applicant?" "He's my estranged father." Unsurprisingly, the loan was denied. Around this time, I also discovered that Mom had been telling people that I was financially abusing elderly parents in an attempt to portray herself as the victim of a harsh daughter who had abandoned them in their time of need. She even reported me to Adult Protective Services for elder abuse, claiming I had stolen their life savings and left them destitute. The social worker who contacted me was professional, but definitely dubious from the beginning. "Miss Carter, we've received a complaint that you financially exploited your parents. Can you help us understand the situation?" I invited her to my home office, and we spent 2 hours going over every financial transaction, screenshot, and piece of evidence. I showed her the text from Hawaii, social media posts, and a timeline of events. "So, let me make sure I understand this correctly," the social worker stated as she reviewed her notes. "Your parents voluntarily put you on their accounts. You helped them financially for years, and when they chose a vacation over visiting you in the ICU, you removed your financial support." "That's correct." "And they're claiming this constitutes elder abuse?" "Apparently." She closed her notebook and looked directly at me. "Miss Carter, what you describe isn't elder abuse. It's a boundary setting. Adult children have no legal obligation to financially support their parents, especially parents who are capable of working but choose not to. The complaint will be closed as unfounded." As she was leaving, she lingered at my door. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry your family put you through this. What they did while you were hospitalized was unconscionable." The failed APS report appeared to have broken something in Mom's mind. Her conversations got increasingly erratic, filled with conspiracy ideas about how I was poisoning people against them and conducting an extensive operation to destroy their lives. "You think you're so smart," she cried during a late-night phone call that jolted me out of a deep slumber. "But karma is coming for you, Clara. You can't treat a family like this and expect to get away with it forever." Karma already came, Mom. It came in the form of a daughter who finally realized her worth. The breaking point came when they attempted to contact Tom's family directly, claiming that I was unstable and that our relationship was harmful. Mom had found Carol's Facebook profile and sent her a lengthy note regarding my mental health difficulties and troubling behavior patterns. Carol forwarded the message to me immediately. It was 3 pages of pure deception, with allegations that I had always been difficult, that my sickness had made me paranoid and vengeful, and that I was isolating myself from family who only wanted to assist. Honey, Carol contacted me that night. I hope you know that none of us believe a word of this nonsense, but I think you should be aware that this woman is actively trying to sabotage your relationships. That's when I decided to pursue legal action. I contacted Tom about obtaining a restraining order against the 3 of them. Harassment, stalking, attempted interference with employment, defamation. You've got grounds for multiple legal actions, Tom told me. But are you sure you want to go that route? It'll make the situation very public. I'm sure. They've crossed every line there is to cross. It's time for legal consequences. The restraining order hearing was planned for Thursday morning. All 3 of them arrived dressed in their finest attire, still assuming they could charm their way out of danger. The judge first heard their version, which was a well-manufactured story about a daughter who had a mental breakdown following a minor illness and was now punishing them for being unable to afford to visit her in the hospital. I then submitted my proof, which included screenshots of the Hawaii vacation posts, copies of the harsh texts, documentation of the harassment, the workplace ambush, the bogus APS report, and attempts to damage my relationships. Your Honor, I said while reciting my prepared statement, these people didn't just abandon me when I nearly died. They mocked me for it. And when I stopped financially supporting them as a result, they spent months harassing me, lying about me, and trying to destroy my career and relationships. I'm asking for protection from people who see me as nothing more than a source of money and are willing to torment me when that money stops flowing. The court issued a temporary restraining order on the spot and set a hearing for a permanent injunction. As we exited the courthouse, Mom made one final desperate plea. Clara, please. We can work this out as a family. You don't need lawyers and judges. You made lawyers and judges necessary when you chose harassment over accountability, I told you. The permanent restraining order was issued 3 weeks later. They were not allowed to contact me directly or indirectly, come within 500 feet of my house or business, or post about me on social media. Violation of the order would result in immediate arrest. The silence that followed was beautiful, but this is where the story really shines. About 3 months after the Hawaii event, I received a call from my supervisor, Mark. Clara, I know you're still recovering and working remotely, but we've got a situation. The client you handled last year, Technova Industries, they want to hire you away from us. Technova was offering me a VP position with a salary nearly double what I was earning, stock options, full benefits, and the opportunity to start their whole cybersecurity business from scratch. They specifically asked for you, Mark continued. Apparently, the security system you designed for them saved them from a major breach last month. They credit you with saving the company millions. I accepted the job. The transition time was particularly noteworthy because it coincided with my family's growing desperation. As I was discussing my new salary and stock options, they were being evicted from their motel room due to non-payment. Bella contacted me from a payphone, crying profusely. Clara, please, we're literally homeless. We're sleeping in Dad's car. Mom's blood pressure medication ran out and we can't afford to refill it. Have you considered getting a job? I inquired gently, examining my new work contract. I have a job. I work at Target now. 20 hours a week at Target doesn't constitute a career, Bella. What about Mom and Dad? Dad's applying for places, but no one wants to hire someone his age. And Mom's too stressed to work. Too stressed to work, but not too stressed to post Facebook rants about what a terrible daughter I am? The line became quiet. They hadn't understood I could still view Mom's public posts. That's different. She's just venting because she's upset. She's spreading lies about me to strangers on the internet while claiming she can't work due to stress. The math doesn't add up, Bella. My first day at Technova was all I hoped for. I had a corner office, a team of 12 excellent engineers, and a budget that left my mind spinning. During my welcome lunch with the executive team, the CEO personally praised me for the work I had completed as a contractor. Clara, I want you to know that your security protocols didn't just save us money, they saved jobs. When hackers tried to breach our system last month, your safeguards held. Without them, we would have lost client data, faced lawsuits, maybe even gone under. You literally saved this company. That afternoon, a reporter from Tech Weekly messaged me on LinkedIn, asking for an interview about cybersecurity trends. My achievement was becoming obvious in ways that would not have been conceivable if I had continued to cater to my family's every desire. Meanwhile, Mom had created a GoFundMe page titled, "Help a Family Destroyed by Their Daughter's Mental Illness." The description portrayed me as an unstable individual who had a breakdown after being hospitalized and then abandoned my loving family. What she didn't expect was that I had professional connections in the tech industry, and some of them knew my name from her campaign. They began posting screenshots in professional Slack channels, not to mock me, but to express outrage at what she was attempting to accomplish. Within 48 hours, my GoFundMe page was inundated with comments from co-workers, past clients, and industry contacts. They revealed their own experiences working with me, defended my character, and denounced the effort as manipulative deception. Clara Carter is one of the most professional and competent engineers I've ever worked with. This campaign is disgusting. Senior developers at Microsoft. I worked with Clara on 3 major projects. She is brilliant, kind, and absolutely not the person described here. This is clearly a scam. Chief Technology Officer of a startup company. Clara saved our company from a devastating cyber attack. Her family should be proud, not exploiting her online. Shameful. CEO of Data Secure. The comments area became a public testament to my integrity and professional accomplishments. Mom erased the GoFundMe page after a week, but not before numerous people screenshotted it and posted it in tech forums as an example of family manipulation. By month 6 at Technova, I was succeeding beyond my wildest expectations. I had created security measures for 3 big companies, spoken at 2 industry conferences, and been featured in a Forbes piece on forward-thinking women in cybersecurity. The Forbes article featured a photograph of me in my office, appearing confident and competent. The caption noted my recent promotion to vice president and my groundbreaking work in corporate security. Dad called from yet another mysterious number after the piece was published. "Clara, I saw the article. I'm proud of you. Are you calling to congratulate me or to ask for money?" A long pause. "We really are struggling, honey. Just a small loan to help us get back on our feet." There it is. I hung up. The irony was not lost on me. As my career rose to new heights, their situation deteriorated. It was like seeing 2 trains on different tracks, one speeding toward achievement, and the other careening into calamity. My social life was also booming. I had more energy for friendships, hobbies, and dating now that I wasn't constantly stressed out about my family crisis. I joined a hiking group and made friends with other professionals with similar interests. I started taking cooking classes and learned that I enjoy entertaining. When Tom and I became serious, I was open about my family status from the start. I anticipated it to scare him away. Most people cannot contemplate fully breaking off their biological family. Instead, he listened to the entire story and stated, "Clara, what you did took incredible strength. Most people stay trapped in toxic family dynamics their whole lives because they can't imagine another way. You choose yourself, and that's not selfish. It's healthy." His family's attitude was equally supportive. When I anxiously explained why my parents wouldn't be attending family dinners, Carol quickly remarked, "Their loss is our gain. We get you all to ourselves." The difference was startling. Tom's family involved me in everything: holiday planning, family photos, and even fights over where to go on vacation. They treated me as if I had always been a member of the family, but my original family treated me like an ATM with a pulse. Around this time, I began receiving stories from various sources regarding my family's ongoing troubles. Sebastian would periodically phone with updates, not because I asked, but because he believed I should be aware of how my decisions were being carried out. "Bella got fired from Target for excessive tardiness and attitude problems," he told me during one contact. "She's trying to restart her influencer career, but with only 200 followers left. Most people unfollowed her after that post about you being mentally ill." "And my parents? Your dad finally got a job at Home Depot part-time. Your mom is working at a call center, also part-time. They're sharing a studio apartment and arguing constantly about money." I felt nothing when I heard this. There is no satisfaction or regret, only utter emotional detachment. They were strangers now, individuals I used to know who had made their own decisions and were dealing with the repercussions. The most telling update arrived a year later. Sebastian called and informed me that Mom had been arrested for shoplifting at a supermarket store. She tried to steal makeup and some fancy cheese, he admitted, evidently embarrassed to share this knowledge. When they caught her, she had a complete meltdown in the store, screaming about how her daughter had ruined her life and driven her to this. Did she mention that her daughter was in the ICU while she was vacationing in Hawaii? Actually, yes. She was yelling about how you were being dramatic about being sick, and that's why they went on vacation. The store manager's daughter had been in the intensive care unit with COVID last year, and he wasn't sympathetic to her story. The charges were subsequently dismissed, but the story became local news due to her outburst. "Local woman blames daughter for shoplifting arrest" was the headline that several people sent me. I didn't read the article, but the headline provided all of the information I needed. Despite facing criminal charges, Mom continued to play the victim, refusing to accept responsibility for her actions. Within 6 months, I had made more money than I could have imagined. I purchased a magnificent property in the hills with a view of the city, got a dog, a golden retriever named Mochi, and began living my life for myself, rather than for ungrateful family members who saw me as nothing more than a salary. What is the best part? I was very happy. The stress of continuously worrying about my family's finances, being solicited for money, and being taken for granted was gone. I felt lighter, freer, and more like myself than I had in years. I also met somebody. Tom, the lawyer who helped me revise my will, had asked me out after I was fully recovered. We had been taking things slowly, but he was nice, thoughtful, and respected my boundaries. He was equally outraged by how my family had treated me and agreed with my choice to cut them off totally. "You don't owe toxic people your life force just because you share DNA," he informed me one evening, as we sat on my new veranda, watching the sunset with Mochi by our feet. A year after the Hawaii event, I ran into my father at a grocery store. He appeared older and worn down. He was utilizing coupons to shop the sale section. "Clara," he said gently. "You look good. Healthy." "I am healthy, and happy. I'm glad." He paused. "I want you to know. I know we messed up. I know we failed you when you needed us most. I don't expect forgiveness, but I wanted you to know that I understand now what we lost." It was the first time I had received a sincere apology from any of them. "Thank you for saying that," I said. "But understanding what you lost doesn't undo the damage you caused." He nodded sadly. "I know, I hope someday you might give us a chance to show we've learned from this." "Maybe someday," I answered, doubting it. "But right now, I'm focused on the family I'm building, with people who actually care about me." As I walked away, I felt something unexpected. Pity. I do not regret my actions. No remorse for cutting them off. But genuine sympathy for those who placed money and appearances over love and loyalty, and are now feeling the consequences. 2 years later, Tom and I married in a tiny ceremony in front of friends who'd become my chosen family. Co-workers, neighbors who'd given me soup when I was sick, and college pals who'd driven hours to see me in the hospital when my biological family couldn't. Bella attempted to crash the wedding. The restraining order had expired by then, and she had reportedly been monitoring me on social media using fictitious accounts to learn about the event. Security escorted her out before she could cause a scene, but not before she screamed loudly enough to be heard. "She's not even really sick, she's just a dramatic attention seeker." The irony was not lost on anybody. Here was a lady who had based her entire identity on social media attention, labeling someone else theatrical. Carol, my new mother-in-law, wrapped her arm around me thereafter. "Honey, I don't know what your sister's problem is, but I want you to know that Tom's family is your family now. We'll never let anyone treat you the way she just did." That was when I finally burst into tears. Not from sadness or rage, but from relief. I had spent so many years trying to earn affection from those who were incapable of giving it, and suddenly I was surrounded by those who freely gave it. The story's final chapter occurred 6 months ago. I received a call from a number I did not recognize, but I responded because I expected a business call. "Clara, it's your cousin, Sebastian." Sebastian was Dad's nephew, someone I'd always liked but rarely spoke with. "I hope you don't mind me calling," he added. "I got your number from your old coworker, Luna. I wanted to reach out because, well, I think you should know. Your mom's been telling everyone who'll listen that you abandoned the family when they needed you most. She's been spreading this story about how you got a little sick and then cut them off financially to punish them for not visiting immediately." My blood boiled. "A little unwell. Is that exactly what she is saying?" "But Clara," he replied, I wanted you to know that not everyone believes her. Some of us remember the photos they posted from Hawaii while you were in the ICU. Some of us think what you did was exactly what they deserved. Thank you for telling me, Sebastian. There's more. They're not doing well. Bella is working at a retail store and living in a studio apartment. Your parents are renting a room from someone, and your dad's working at a hardware store. Your mom, she's been asking family members for money using the same story about how you abandoned them, and no one's giving her anything. Word gets around. You know, people remember how they treated you. After I hung up, I reflected about this for a long time. Part of me felt vindicated. They were now facing the repercussions of their conduct. But primarily, I didn't feel anything. They were strangers to me now. People I used to know had made their decisions and were living with the consequences. I never reached out to them again. I never forgave them or attempted to repair the connection. Some people could describe it as frigid or merciless. I call it self-preservation. Because while I nearly died alone while my family vacationed in paradise, I learned that some people just regard you for what you can give them, not who you are. And the moment you stop providing, their actual nature becomes obvious. I discovered that creating limits isn't harsh, it's important. I discovered that blood does not automatically make someone family. And removing toxic individuals from your life, including relatives, can be the healthiest thing you ever do for yourself. Most significantly, I realized I deserved better. I deserved to be surrounded by individuals who would drop everything to be by my side in a crisis, rather than people who would mock me for almost dying. Today, I am 29 years old. I am married to a man who loves me absolutely. I have a job I love, a home I enjoy, and a puppy who greets me as if I'm the most important person in the world every time I walk through the door. I have friends who check on me when I'm unwell, who celebrate my accomplishments without jealousy, and who encourage my aspirations without demanding anything in return. My mother-in-law calls me her daughter, and she means it. I've selected a family who will go to any length to aid me if I ever need it again. And occasionally, as I sit on my veranda at twilight with Tom and Mochi, watching the city lights glitter below us, I remember that fearful, lonely girl in the ICU bed, battling for her life while her family posed for vacation photos. I think about how she screenshotted those horrible texts and made a decision that changed everything. I smile. Because she picked herself. Finally, after years of putting others first, she picked herself. And it made all the difference. The weird thing about revenge is that the best type does not involve harming those who have wronged you. It's about creating a life so fulfilling that their absence is a blessing rather than a loss. They assumed losing me wouldn't be a huge issue. They expected me to return, checkbook in hand, pleading for forgiveness. Instead, they lost the greatest thing that had ever happened to them. And I got the life I always wanted, but was too busy caring for them to know I didn't have. That is a trade I will make every time.